Hello everybody, welcome to episode 3 now of My name is Fraser.
My name is Kai.
Is it? Are you sure?
I don't know. You know what? I think I might change it to Gerald.
Gerald. Okay, you could be Gerald. Hi, Gerald.
Oh, hello, Stephanie.
Oh, I'm Stephanie now.
You're Stephanie.
I'm definitely going insane.
Get that audience laugh track in the background there, Fraser.
I couldn't forget to do that.
Thank you. Wait, no, you said the joke. You say thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyway, how's it going, Kai?
Oh, I'm going good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going good. I mean, I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling because we don't need to go back to school.
Thank fuck.
But I've heard that this week is the week in the UK where people actually are going back to school.
You know what? You say the UK, it's pretty much only parts of England.
Oh, really? What,
yeah,
is
it's
Scotland
weird.
not going back yet, or...?
Scotland went back in about middle of August.
Oh, so they go back at the same time as people in the States do?
Yeah, a lot of the UK have started to do that, which is really weird. I kind of find it a bit stupid, to be honest.
Huh.
But
that's strange.
I know that Scotland have been doing it for a long time. I think Wales do it as well, and then there's a bunch of like northern schools and stuff in England that do it.
So England is actually the one place which doesn't actually go back to school at the same time as the rest of the world, essentially.
No, it's stupid.
Okay.
I mean, I liked it because obviously August is usually like one of our... I say August is one of our hottest months. I think July or June is probably one of our hottest months now.
Yeah.
It's like everything season-wise has been pushed back or pushed forward about a month or two.
I've just always seen August as the holiday month. You know, in the UK, you don't get as much time off as people in the rest of the world do because you get longer half-term and full-term breaks. But August has always been that 1 month which is completely blocked out. Obviously, now that we're working, that doesn't really matter at all. But it always seemed to be that was the holiday month. So it's a bit strange. But hey, I mean, it's just our culture, isn't it?
I guess it's nice though when you were younger and, well, especially like when we were younger, it was get to like the end of July or like a couple of weeks before the end of July, and you're like, oh, it's finally the final week of school. We get to have 6 weeks, was it?
Yeah, about that.
Nowadays it's like 4 weeks. It's weird.
I just switch off in June, to be honest.
I switch off every day all year round.
But I'll tell you what, school gave me some good memories. Like, there was loads of trips. There was obviously loads of people there that I don't really talk to anymore. There was cool teachers. There was loads of positive and obviously negative, but more positive memories that came out of school, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say there's quite a few. I mean, I think the biggest thing is obviously friendships and whatever else back then. Good communication skills. I
mean, I think I only really talked to... I mean, there's a group chat of people that went from secondary school to sixth form, and people that I've just generally stayed in touch with. I think I only talked to the people in that group chat, and then just the occasional small talk with anyone else. Other than that, I mean, everyone else is gone. Where's everyone gone?
I know! Everyone's just disappeared. I spoke to someone that I haven't spoken to in about 2 years yesterday.
Right.
And, like, they put a picture on their Snapchat story or something like that with a baby, and I was like... Is that yours?
What?
It's not theirs, it was their sister's apparently, and I was like, oh, thank God. It like scared me for a sec, like, Jesus Christ, I haven't seen you for 2 years and you got a baby.
I haven't even found my girlfriend yet.
Hello, American wife, if you're out there listening.
3 episodes of trying to find Kai, an American wife. But you know, hit him up at Stuck in a Podcast at Kai Ross-Best, you know the drill.
Thanks, love.
But talking to friends though, I mean, I've had some good memories with some friends. I have a couple of like iconic ones which kind of scream out at me. Obviously there's so many memories, but there's like recurring jokes and stuff which go around in the friendship group. And one of the ones that's kind of stuck around for quite a while is I've got a friend called Brandon. He's Mega Man Likes Cheese on YouTube. If you watch my channel, you might recognize him. His brother, he had a brother called Tyler, and Tyler... There was this very funny incident one day where Tyler had a chocolate bar, and I think someone knocked it out of his hand, and basically he started crying, and he was like, "My chocolate bar! You broke it!" literally just because a chocolate bar broke. Like, you know, it just fell onto the floor. I think maybe a square broke or something. He was like, my chocolate bar, you broke it.
That sounds like something I'd do, to be honest, Fraser. Even at this age.
And it was just, it wasn't a big thing. Obviously, the day after, he was fine about it. But for whatever reason, his brother was emotionally attached to that chocolate bar. And it's just been a recurring joke over time. And also, there was this other memory with my friendship group. There was someone called Joel, and we were in a design technology cooking class. And one of the tasks, I think it was like an end of term one or end of year one, because usually we don't do anything chocolate related, but we were doing things chocolate related, and it involved melting a bowl of chocolate. Right. So, you know, as you do, you put your chocolate in the bowl, you stick it in the microwave, and it gets melted. You take it out, you stir it, put it back in, you go. However, Joel forgot to take the fork out of his bowl. So he broke up his chocolate, and he'd taken it out after one lot of melting. He stirred it, but he put the bowl back in with the fork. You look back, next thing you know, there's smoke coming out of the microwave. His voice, he just went, "Miss, my chocolate's on fire!" Across the classroom, and everyone looked over. They just see smoke blowing out of a microwave from where it was reacting to the fact that he'd left the fork in the bowl. The chocolate wasn't on fire, it's just the fork.
Was that like in a cooking? Was that in cooking, yeah?
Yeah, that was in a cooking class. And it was literally just because he'd left the fork in the bowl and melting chocolate.
So, with cooking as well, I think we used to like rotate between like cooking, wood tech, and like metal tech or something like that. Like every three months or something like that, because you get 3 months off overall. Or every 3 terms or 2 terms. I can't remember how many terms there are.
I think we had a similar system. Cooking for 1 or 2 terms, woodwork for 1 or 2 terms, and I think it was plastics and acrylics maybe for the other terms.
Yeah, that makes sense. Something like that. But in the cooking one, we always had a 4 group, and it was like me, my friend Charlie. I think you know Charlie.
Yeah.
Or like you know of him at least. And then another friend called Max and another one called Jack at the time. He's still called Jack now, just saying. But
just in case he changed to Jackathy.
But no one ever wanted to be next to Charlie in cooking, because obviously like you have your pairs or whatever, so you'd have 2 on one side, 2 on the other side. No one wanted to be next to Charlie because he was awful at everything. So every single time we had cooking, we'd all have like a debate on, who's next to Charlie this time? And like he'd get really upset about it eventually, and like we didn't mean it in like a bad way or anything like that. But like I was happy to be next to him because he was one of my best friends at the time. And I was more just doing it for a joke. But then I saw he was getting upset, so he stopped doing it. I was happy to be next to him. But he was awful at washing up. He was awful at whatever else. His cakes always sunk. And he always had like the teacher right next to him because they knew something was going to go wrong.
I always find it funny when people describe cakes as sunken. Obviously, I know what that means. It means that, like, you know, it's sort of shrank and it's dipped a bit.
Yeah, it's dipped in the middle.
I always imagine someone launching a cake into the sea and just seeing if it floats or not.
Hey, I'll do that tonight and we'll find out.
Brilliant. Tune in next time to see the results of Kai's cake floating competition.
But like one time, I think I was cooking something on the stove in there. He'd set something on fire by mistake. I was cooking something on a frying pan even, and I think it was just like bacon or something like that, or I was making something to do with bacon. And obviously you put oil on it, don't you? And I'm like, okay, sure. Yeah. Oil makes the bacon go, and then it's a good sound impression.
Like a helicopter,
onomatopoeia. Is that the word?
Depends what you're trying to describe.
We'll guess it is, because I don't want to go and search it or listen now.
Hey Google, what is onomatopoeia?
Here's the definition of onomatopoeia. The formation of a word from a sound associated with what is named, e.g. cuckoo, sizzle.
Yeah, see? I remember my English. I was good at that. And obviously when you're gonna like get rid of the oil in the frying pan, I don't know what you do, but I usually put it under like a bit of cold water or something like that.
Ooh, not straight away. Not straight away. Like, if you got hot oil, then no.
But like, I usually do that just because it'll mix the water and the oil up, or it won't, but it'll cool it down. And that's what I like done all the time at home. I'm quite good at cooking, I like to say. Especially like when I get into it more, especially with like cakes and whatever else. I can make a great cake. But when
I will
when
be
that
the judge of that next time.
Oh, I'll happily make you a cake. I love making cakes.
Ah.
But I put this like giant frying pan that had quite a bit of oil in under the cold water, and it sounded like a volcano had just gone off. It went...
Oh, yeah, no surprise.
And my friend just looked at me. I was holding it in my hand, just not moving. And my friend was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Getting rid of the oil."
Because the steam just plows out of it, doesn't it? It just makes a massive plume of cloud and smoke.
And like the noise of like the oil reacting to the cold water and everything like that. And everyone like around me is going mental. I'm just standing there holding this frying pan under some water.
I think people frown against putting oil down the drain as well. I'm not sure what the proper way to dispose of it is. It might even just be that. But I think people frown against...
I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I think if you pour it down the drain, obviously it clogs your drains and obviously it's bad for the environment. I think that's why people frown on it. But,
I suppose, but... I
don't know. I might be talking a lot of rubbish.
I clean it up or whatever eventually, but...
Yeah.
It's just a quicker way of cooling it down, isn't it?
So you were that guy. Charlie wasn't that
I was
guy.
The guy that wasn't scared of
guy.
oil touching my hand. I cut my hand open many times in cooking class by like potato peelers and whatever else. That was a good one. A knife. I cut straight through like a piece of bacon. I just stabbed it. Went straight through my finger once.
Oh God. Okay.
Didn't hurt much, I'll be honest, which was great. But
oh, you're invincible.
I like to think I've got a good pain tolerance.
I think we found out why. It's just a cooking class which built up your pain tolerance.
Yeah, I've put so many cooking pans under the water. Oil's just gone all over my arms, so my arms are immune to anything now.
If you lift up his sleeves, he's actually got like massive oil burns. You can see the scars of what made him the man he is today.
I'm Deadpool.
What would you say is the best thing you've ever cooked in cooking class?
Oh, definitely a cake.
Okay,
I did make a lasagna wrong once though.
How can you make it wrong? What did you do?
I forgot to put the pasta sheets underneath, so I pushed them down through the meat.
Oh my God!
It tasted so good though. I'll say that. But the best thing
Must
ever.
Have been messy.
Cake. It was definitely messy, but it was lovely.
That sounds pretty good.
I went home early to eat it.
Were you allowed to go home early?
No, but I went home early.
Well, brilliant. You got a good excuse for it. I made a banging lasagna and going home.
Exactly. What about you? What was the best thing you ever made?
I'm just trying to have a think because we made a massive variety of things. Like we made bread and butter pudding. We made curries. We made some form. I didn't like the bread and butter pudding. We made some form of some sort of chicken dish. I can't remember. We did battering. We did cakes. We made. I think the chocolate was related to just sweet treats, so we did lollies and stuff as well.
Yeah.
What is the best thing I make? Do you know what? I think it has to... This is going to sound so stereotypical and so obvious. Not be it's stereotypical to say, oh yeah, this is my favourite. But just because it's me, I think the most favourite thing I ever made was a curry. And you know what? It wasn't in secondary school. It was actually in primary school. They just refit the medical room whilst I was in year 6. And the medical room was turned into like a kitchen. And as like a grand opening, they invited people from each class, I think it was a star pupil and their person's friends, to the kitchen to make a curry or whatever dish it was. And I wasn't the star pupil today, but luckily I was on the good side with someone, so the star pupil picked me to go down with them. And I think we made a Thai green curry. And it was amazing. I just remember being so proud of it. It was, obviously we were like pretty handheld along the way because we were in year 6, we were in primary school. But it was an amazing Thai green curry. And we got that in addition to our lunch hour. So it was proper brilliant. Yeah. Got to sit down, eat our creation, and then go for lunch.
You know what the best thing about primary school was?
What's that?
Wet play.
Do you know what? Wet play was so underrated.
It was so good. You got to stay indoors, which is what we do anyway.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to get wet. How good's that?
You got to play on the teacher's computer, put stuff on the interactive whiteboard. If you brought in your phone, you could get your phone out. Obviously, usually in primary school, you don't use your phone that often. It's just more like the crappy games that you've got installed on it. But you could get your phone out. Everyone would doodle, make paper things. You know, it was brilliant. I loved wet play.
Yeah, me too. And then like you get, I don't know, I was like a prefect in my school, which was like you had to look after every single class or whatever.
All right. Was that in primary school or secondary school?
In primary school. This is like year 6 though.
You get a head start.
Oh, that was good. Good boy, me.
Good boy. Well done. Pat.
Sorry, I need to cough.
I was yeah, no worries. I was a head boy in secondary school. There was 4 houses that the entire school was organised into, and in year 11 I was head boy of one of the houses. So that's my prefect badge. We were both prefects.
Hey, high five! Woo! Nice. I think the one thing that I hated about being a prefect though was people that tried to be a prefect when they weren't, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Like, there's always like 3 of them.
Yeah.
And they think they are, but like they're not. I mean, I don't remember anyone really from my primary school. I do. I spoke to like one of them maybe ever since leaving primary school.
But the rest of them, you don't remember?
I remember all of them. I think they were like the ones that I really got on with, because we went on a trip to Paris in like, year 6 for me. And like, that trip to Paris was, I think we went to, it was, what's it called? It's something, but like you do different things while you're there. Is it PGL, something like that?
I've got no clue.
It was like a PGL trip, I think it's called. So you get on a coach, I'm pretty sure, and they take you to Paris. It was like the first time I'd eaten rabbit. Rabbit was lovely. I would not like to eat rabbit again though, because I feel like I don't want to eat something like a rabbit. Just personal preference. That went up the Eiffel Tower for the first time ever.
Nice.
We looked around
I've yet
France.
to do that.
We got to go to Disneyland for a day, and with our teachers.
Woo!
How cool was that?
That sounds so cool.
I had a slight crush on someone at the time, and people were taking the piss out of me. Even the teachers were.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love it when teachers get involved with things.
It's so good, isn't it? Because obviously the teachers are like, especially when you're like in year 6, so you're what, 11?
Yeah, something like that.
And like, it's not like, oh, you love them or anything like that. It's, ooh.
There was this teacher in they were a year 5 teacher, but they came on the year 6 trip. This is so basically in our primary school at the end of the year of year 6, I think it was, or maybe it was year 5, whatever. One of the years, you went to this place and it was called Mill on the Brew, and that place was like an activity camp based on a river. As in like there was a river right next to it, and it was amazing. You could do things like climbing walls, you could build rafts, you could do canoeing, kayaking, go for a little camp out, you could go up one of those big tall pole things and try and grab the other pole from the very top. You stack up on boxes, as in you're standing on top, your team has to pass the boxes up to you, and you have to try and get as high as possible without the boxes falling. It was amazing. I really love Mill on the Brew. And on the way, one of the teachers, it's funny that I remember this, because like I forgot half the things that I've ever done in primary school, but for whatever reason I just remember this. On the way to Mill on the Brew, there was this teacher called Mr. Nichols, and he was great. He was sitting with everyone else rather than with the teachers at the front. I can't remember why he's sitting with someone, but I think it might have been to do with some problem with one person was having, not negative, but like, you know, just personal. Maybe they felt sick. Yeah. So he sat with that student, and then we were all at the back of the coach, and everyone was singing this song, so who stole the cookie from the cookie jar, and then a random person would call out someone's name and say, Becky stole the cookie from the cookie jar. And then Becky go, who, me? And then everyone else would go, yes, you. And then they go, but it wasn't me. And then it repeat, so who stole the cookie from the cookie jar? Fraser stole the cookie from the cookie jar. Who, me? Yes, you. It wasn't me. And then it got to that point where we then accused Mr. Nichols, because he was just like smiling and watching and everything. So, Mr. Nichols! And then he did a Cookie Monster impression. He went, cookie! Like really loud. So like literally everyone on the bus could hear it. And everyone just erupted laughing because you would not expect a teacher to do that.
I think that's the best thing though. When you're a coach, you're going away from school so they can be themselves more.
Oh, it was so good.
It's like, do you ever go to like a theme park with your school?
Oh yeah, not in primary school. Well, in primary school we went to a theme park at some point, but like at the end of the year and every single year in secondary school, we'd always go to a different theme park. I think I went to places like Chessington, World of Adventures, went to Legoland in year 7, went to Thorpe Park. Yeah, we went to quite a few places.
I think we only ever went to Thorpe Park once in secondary school, and that was because we won like sports day or something like that.
Still a trip? It's still a trip?
It was a great trip. I loved it. It was like the first time the teachers just said, go on, have fun. And it was like one of those fright nights as well. So we went in October. And it's open till 11 or something like that. And there's all these like school kids running around. And I've got some vlogs somewhere like on one of my old channels or something like that on YouTube.
I need to find this.
I'll show you some at some point. Or I'll look through them on a video or something one day.
Okay.
But we're so young and we're just walking around and all this other stuff. But like on one of them we went to Chessington. We're in year 6, just after I got back from France, like literally the day after, and a couple of our teachers came with us, and on that trip we had a teacher next to us on one of the ride, and one of like my old friends that was sitting next to me just shouted shit on one of the rides. And like the teacher was right next to us as well. He was like, don't say that. And he was like, I had to. And he was like, it's okay, I'm gonna do it too. And just shouted shit.
That's brilliant.
And I think that's great. Like when you're out of school, you can do whatever you want basically.
Teachers are so fun when they're out of school. Like you see their true personality, not their like strict formal self. Obviously some teachers do have fun, but it's just so good to see them like loosen up a little bit and actually have fun.
Yeah. Rather than
there was
like
some
lesson.
Yeah, rather than just teaching all the time and then, you know, making a joke every now and then maybe.
Yeah.
I had some amazing teachers in my secondary school. I've listed down a few of them. One of my favourite teachers was one of my science teachers, Mr. Horn. Now, he was the funniest guy, and he was like the best teacher to ever introduce you to the world of science, especially as we had him in year 7. He would do it in such a fun way. He would also be strict when he needed to be, but he'd do things in such a funny way and describe things in such a funny way. So one of the first experiments, I think every school did this, was he melted a jelly baby in a test tube, and basically it made like a flare type effect, and it would scream, and he basically screamed along with it the first time round. He was like, you ready to hear the jelly baby scream? And then he went to put it in the test tube, but then he went, ah! We thought it was a jelly baby, and he's like, oh no, sorry, I just got nervous. He was the funniest guy, and he was also the person to introduce me to the Duck song. Like quite a few people in the class already knew it, because YouTube was just like sprucing up at the time. This is 2009, 2010. Maybe year 8, year 9 as well, so 2011, I can't remember. But he introduced the class to the Duck song. Like he would go and find a funny video. If it was like a Friday class and it was near the end of the day, he would find a funny video at the end of the day and play it on the screen. So one of the songs was the Duck song, and he basically encouraged everyone to sing along, and at one point everyone was singing along to the Duck song because it was one of those ones with the words on the screen, and it was, oh my god, it was brilliant. I loved Mr. Horn. Yeah. He was the funniest science teacher you could ever have, and he looked the part as well. His hair was grey and wacky. He wasn't old. He was probably, I'd say maybe he was mid-50s, late 50s. He didn't look old.
Like the Doc from Back to the Future.
That sort of personality, yeah. He didn't look as old as Doc, but definitely that sort of personality.
Yeah, that makes sense.
he was amazing. There was 2 other teachers that I want to mention as well, and then I'll obviously let you crack on with your teachers and stuff. One of the teachers that I really liked the most before he eventually left was a teacher called Mr. Collins. Now, he was a drama teacher. He was the most expressive guy. He's the most fun guy. He also had this special sofa chair in his class. So if someone was brilliant in the previous lesson, he would award them the sofa for the next lesson. If someone was good going through that class and he hadn't awarded anyone the sofa from the previous lesson, he would then go, right, you get the sofa chair. It was basically a reward. Everyone else would have these little plastic chairs that stack up in the corner at the end of the day, or at the end of a class rather, whilst he would give someone the sofa chair. And that was like the best reward. He was so chill because not only did he make hilarious jokes, but me and my friend called Marcus, we had Mario Kart DS, and we'd bring in our DSs, and we'd do like a co-op play in the library at break and lunch, because we were that type of person. And we challenged Mr. Collins to a race on Mario Kart. We would say, right, if we beat you on Mario Kart, we get the sofa chair for a week. If not, then we have to clean up the chairs at the end of every lesson. So, no one else needed to, but we'd have to do it. So, we gave him a reward as well. Not that it rewarded him, it just rewarded the rest of the class. But it was our reward to get that sofa chair. He accepted the challenge. We went to the library at break time. We got him another DS, 3-person race. He came last. We came first and second. We had the sofa chair for a week each. Solid.
Go on, get that audience clap back in there, Fraser.
Hey, I'm going to forget to do that as well. No doubt I'm going to forget that, but he was amazing.
Oh, I know, it's going to sound really awkward, isn't it? I'm going like, oh, go on, Fraser, get the audience clap.
We'll just go with our claps if we forget. If not, everyone else just clap whilst you're listening.
That's a good point, yeah. Go back, listen to the whole podcast again, listen, start clapping.
And then the third and final teacher that I want to mention was a maths and ICT teacher that we had called Mr. Butterfield. He was like the most down-to-earth teacher ever. I think he was like, he definitely wasn't old. He was more on the young end of the spectrum, maybe like mid-20s, late 20s. He was brilliant at ICT, he was brilliant at maths, maybe early 30s. Some people found his Facebook at one point, and his Facebook picture was like him with a hamster on his head. He loved anime, he loved playing games. We'd always talk about games, we'd always talk about Nintendo releases and things like that. He was generally such a chill guy, and there was this charity week that was going on in our school one week, and it was just like, finding as many ways as possible to raise money. So he brought in, I think he brought in a GameCube, and he hooked it up to a projector and basically said, right, for £1 a pop you can, or 50p a pop I think it was, you can race someone else or race me or whatever. And when it wasn't break and lunchtime, if it was like a chill time during class, this was in sixth form as well. If it was a chill time for us in sixth form and he wasn't busy, he'd hook up to the projector and we could just play on the GameCube during our downtime. He was brilliant.
That sounds pretty cool.
Absolutely brilliant. I loved Mr. Butterfield.
Aww.
Did you have any teachers that you remember?
I remember. I don't remember any of my... What's the school before primary? Is it...
Oh, it's just like play school, isn't it?
No, because you get something... You get play school or preschool. Something else.
That's it, yeah. Play school, preschool. I see that as the same thing.
But then you get something else in between preschool
and primary. Do you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't think you do.
Yeah, for like reception year 1, year 2.
Oh, right, I see. So there was some schools did this. I know my school didn't, but another one in the local area did. There was like a junior school. Yeah,
that's it.
There was a junior school, and then there was I can't remember what the higher one was called.
It was preschool or play school, junior, primary, secondary, college.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was definitely junior. So I remember no one from junior school pretty much. I remember maybe one teacher, and that was the head teacher. It was called something like Mrs. Bill.
Okay.
And I only remember her because I think she got married to someone that was younger than her. And my mum said that she was a tomboy or something like that.
Right, okay.
So that's the only reason I really remember her. But she was lovely. I've seen her maybe once or twice. And then as well as that, we had like a crossing teacher, like, one of those lollipop ladies or whatever. She just quit her job after 20-something years, I think.
Wow.
Doing it. So dedication to her. Well done. Get the clap back in it. When I remember like nothing else from that really, that school. I remember like the teachers. I remember like some of the lessons, and that's about it. But then we go to like my primary school. I remember pretty much every single one of my teachers in there. My first one ever was called Mrs. Gilbert. She was lovely. She was so sweet. She was calm. She'd let me do whatever, basically. She gave me a blender.
What? Why?
There was like a raffle thing, and she said, "Oh, pick right down the bottom to someone," and like right down the bottom. Apparently, there was like a bunch with my name on it because I was like a good boy for the year or something like that. And the winner of it got a blender, and like all of mine were apparently at the bottom for some reason.
So
I won a blender.
Won a blender in primary school.
Yeah. How good's that?
That
And
sounds
some
like
lady,
such a
mum got
praise.
angry at me, like, I should have won that. He's young. What's he gonna use a blender for? I used it for some cracking milkshakes, you bitch.
Oh my god, yes.
She was lovely. She was my first teacher in that school. Amazing teacher. Second teacher in that school was called Mrs. Perkins. She is kind of like an older version of me, I'd like to say. She likes all the same music as me. We got on so well. And as well as that, we had like a deputy head teacher who was called Mrs. Robertson at the time. She was also like an older version of me. She loved all the same music. We got on so well. Like, every now and then, we just chat for, like, an hour or so when we, like, meant to have a lesson. During lunchtime once, I wrote something, she went through it and said, "This is the best thing I've ever read!" And whatever else. Both great teachers, I miss them. I wish I could see them at some point, but obviously I can't. Thanks, Fraser. And, next teacher from that was called Mr. Babert. Mr. Babert, one of my all-time favourite teachers ever, because he was just such a cool guy. He's like the one that you get on with no matter who you are. He was like casual, he's chill. You'd never really see him angry, and if he was angry, you'd know he's angry, for example. But like he even played a prank on like the teachers or whatever. Like on April Fool's Day, he brought his bike in. He always came into school on his bike. But he hid it in like the shed and hid behind the desk for the whole morning. And no one knew where he was. He wasn't answering his phone. And then like an hour goes by, and like the head teacher and whatever else comes in and says, "Is he still not here?" And like they go round like towards the desk, and he jumps up at them and makes the teacher jump out of her skin.
Brilliant.
But like
absolutely
one parent's
brilliant.
evening, he was lovely. One parent's evening, he asked me how my mum and dad was, because like he was the same teacher that my brother had 5 years or 6 years before me in that school.
Right, okay. So he's basically like, you're the
so he knows
brother
who
of
they
this.
are. Yeah, so he knew who they were, and like he knew what my mum and dad did for work. And my mum was like doing some pole dancing lessons at the time, and I said, he came over to me like a few days before like parents' evening and said, "Oh, how's your parents?" And I said, "Oh, they're good. My mum's got a new job as a stripper." And parents' evening comes along, and he's like, "So Kai says you got a new job as a stripper." And my mum's like, "You told him I was a stripper?"
Oh my god.
This is like 11-year-old me as well. I had him for 2 years in that school.
You just dobbed your mum out for being a stripper, even though she wasn't a stripper.
Maybe this is where I get my stripper joke from, Fraser.
If you were a stripper, what would your name be?
No. But that was like, I think primary school, people like shitted on it a lot in like my primary school because they hated like a lot of the teachers and whatever else. But I think that was my favourite school-wise.
Wait, so was that a primary school teacher or a secondary school teacher?
Primary school teacher.
So in primary school teacher, where they're looking out for children to make sure they're being cared for at home, to make sure their parents are putting them in a responsible position, you dob your mum out for being a stripper. Yep. Oh my god.
To be fair, there was one teacher that I hated in primary school, and that was my English teacher in year 6. And
English teacher in year 6 is going to be furious if she's listening.
Oh, I think she might be dead, I'm going to be honest.
Right, okay, let's carry on.
But I hated her. She hated me. If I didn't do something that she wanted me to do, she'd get so angry. She was just a bitch. I think that's the best way you could describe it.
Kai!
I'm being serious. Like, she's one of those teachers that thinks that you're a year, I don't know, 10 student or something like that. You're in year 6. You don't care about whatever.
That's true.
Do you get me?
That's true. Yeah.
And, like, we had her for a cover lesson once. And even in the cover lesson, she'd hated me. And I was like, what have I done wrong to you? And then,
Is
like,
she
one
the type
day,
of person that
sweet.
would pick you out if you don't contribute?
Yeah.
So if everyone else is putting their hands up and you're like the one person who didn't know the answer, she would still pick on you. Oh god, I hate those
and
types
like, it's
of
when you
teachers.
don't know the answer, and it's like, if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to put my hand up. I was a very shy kid back then, I'm going to be honest. I would not put my hand up for basically anything unless I really knew the answer. Even if like I was a bit sure that I might have known the answer, I was afraid of like getting it wrong. So I might not have put my hand up anyway. And then like, I didn't like talking, I wasn't very like talkative until it came to like plays and stuff. Like back when plays came along, I was like, oh yeah, I'm the main guy, here we go. I'd like, and like everyone knew I play guitar and whatever else, so everyone knew that I'd if I was like in my little bubble, I would happily like get out of that bubble when it came to like music or plays or something like that, because I loved
Yeah, no, I
acting
get
or
you.
whatever else.
You know, when you enjoy it, you do come out your shell a little more, don't you?
But like even like in maths and stuff, I was good at maths, I'd like to say. I was terrible for the first like year or two. Then I started like, I think someone in my class was good at it, and I started looking at them, looking at what their answer was, getting the idea of what it was and how to do it, and that's how I kind of learnt maths, by cheating within reason.
Fair
This is
enough.
like in year 4 or 5 though, so it was like nothing bad. It's like what everyone does, they give a little peek to the person next to them.
Yeah.
But secondary school hated it.
So, to finish off the podcast, let's very quickly go through grades. Do you remember what you got in GCSEs?
I do, and the only reason I remember it is because it followed a pattern of Jingle Bells.
I'm going to guess
Would you
A,
like to
A,
hear
B, A, A, B,
I didn't get any
A, B,
A's.
C, D, E.
Surprisingly, I didn't get any A's. I would have got a really good grade for geography, but they told me you're not allowed more than 1,500 words in your coursework until, like, they told me this 2 hours or like an hour before the end of when we were meant to submit it, and I'd had about 15,000 words by this point, and I was like,
Oh my
for fuck's sake. So I had to get rid of everything, and like I got a D for geography. But I'll go through it quick.
So
I got
bad, yeah.
B for maths, B for English language and lit, and then I got a B for IT, computer science. I got one more B. I can't remember what it was. It was trying to think of what else I did. Film, got a B in film.
Nice.
And then I got B B B D D. I can't remember what it was anymore, but it followed Jingle Bells. I got a D in Spanish and I got a D in geography. I got a C in something, but I can't remember what it was. I did something else. Stats, I think, maybe?
Alright. Is
And
your
then-
maths broken up?
No, but they said that we can get another qualification if we do stats, so we just did it anyway.
Oh, interesting. Nice.
I did 4 extra GCSEs because they were saying, oh, because you're never in, because I got ill a lot when I was younger.
Right.
To the point where like I could be off school for about a month because I was that ill.
Wow.
And it's to the point where I got ill too easily, I think. To the point where like I could get a fever off of like nothing. I could be sick off of nothing. It was like horrible. But I did really well, surprisingly. And I think this was like the best year for GCSEs ever, I think. They said something like that.
Oh, wow, that's really good then.
And especially in my school, I think it was the best year for GCSEs ever. But I did like 4 extra GCSEs, and the extra ones I did was like IT, something else, and I did something called EDSL or something like that, or ECDL, something like that, which is like like PowerPoint and whatever else, and I got a distinction star in that.
Nice.
And I felt they said we had like an hour to do each one, and I did like every single one, which was like PowerPoint, Word, Excel, and I can't remember what the other one is, but something. And I did all of them in like 40 minutes.
Nice.
What about you?
What did I get? So I think in business I got distinction star. In music I think I also got distinction star. Can't remember. IT, I got distinction. English, language and lit, I got A in both of them. Maths, I got A. Science core, I got A. Science additional, I got B. God, what else did I do? I said ICT, didn't I?
Yeah.
Let's just say that. If you want to know, just tweet me. I can't remember the rest of it off the top of my head. And just very quickly going over A-levels as well, because we're reaching 40 minutes on this podcast as well. Bloody hell. We said we were going to do 30 minutes. We got 40. We really went into this one. A-levels, I got a B in computing. I got a C in ICT applied. However, I've upped that to a double distinction when doing my apprenticeship. And I got a distinction in business. And that also got me on Sky News. Get in. Yeah.
I did.
What about you?
I went to college, so I only did film there.
Right.
But I got a distinction in both years. So I think the second year they said, this is just like a really quick like monologue thing. In the second year they said, oh, we don't know if you're going to get a distinction on this. And I was like, well, I'm not doing any more. I'm now working full time. This is when I started doing stuff for Jack. I was like, I've done everything I can do. Everything's planned out. I've done 70,000 words or something like that in my document. And that's like, I think that was about 200 and something pages. I'd spent so much time on it. I'm like, I'm done here. If I'm not getting a distinction, whatever. I was 2 marks off of getting the top, like, every single thing.
Wow.
And they're saying,
that's
we
impressive.
don't think you're going to get it.
Well, there you go. You steered your own boat and you got there.
I did. And now look at me. I hate everything.
And with that, we're going to end off the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you all enjoyed this nice long episode of... Of course, every single episode is out on Spotify, so if you enjoyed this one, feel free to listen to our other ones. We release a new episode every single Wednesday, so we will see you next Wednesday. Goodbye!
Tune in on Wednesday to find out how the cake floating competition went.
I hope you actually do this.
I'll do it tonight with Yuki.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.